Driving around, we found Raven Run Nature Sanctuary. Raven Run is a 734-acre nature sanctuary dedicated to preserving the natural beauty of the Kentucky River Palisades in early Kentucky history. Part of the property was acquired with funds from the Kentucky Heritage Land Conservation Fund. Over 10 miles of hiking trails provide access to streams, meadows, and woodlands. Numerous 19th century remains of early settlers, as well as over 600 species of plants, allow visitors to become acquainted with and appreciate the natural world. Raven Run also accommodates over 200 species of birds throughout the year. There are three distinct historic structures that can be found, including Evans Mill, a corn grinding grist mill built on a large rock ledge vertical cliff in the mid 1930s to 1840. It ceased operation by 1850 due to the roller steam mills found in accessible locations. The Prather House is an early 19th century farmstead owned by First Sergeant Brunch Prather, a former Revolutionary War soldier. The house was under construction in June 1800 and finished with a kitchen in 1812. The final structure is an old turn-of-the-century lime kiln, which was used for making quick lime for mortar, whitewash, and other uses. There are more than 5 miles of historic dry stone fences in the preserve as well. It was really interesting to see the Palisades where we hiked. We did not get to see Evans Mill or the other historical aspects to the park. Having a toddler on my back was really hard and I barely made it through, but we did end up hiking 2.7 miles. I did not end up showing the return on this hike. I was pretty beat, but we did it. It was absolutely stunning. We cannot wait to go back and see the grist mill and some of the other trails on here. There are several programs around related to Raven Run. I know that is one in particular that focuses on the bluegrass history, where students explore a preserved historical homestead, Evans Mill, and some of the others I mentioned earlier. There's also a graveyard. They learn how people live and were affected by the landscape in the early 19th century. There was information, museum materials from a recent on-site archaeological investigation. And there's some really cool stuff about Native Americans and the European interactions over the last 3,000 years. Really interesting history of Kentucky and perspectives toward the landscape. The beautiful stone walls that crisscross on the property along the Red Trail, the historians have documented the walls were built in 1813 with no mortar used anywhere. The rocks are carefully fitted together by trained Scottish stonemasons supervising slaves. There's a lot of history around central Kentucky, all around Kentucky, of the stone walls. The history was actually documented on books and writings about Raven Run. They never dreamed the fences would still stand 200 years later, but they sure are.